So as Summer mentioned, everyone, please feel free to send over your chat. We've got a whole group of panelists on here today. We'll be glad to answer any kind of questions. We're very happy to have everyone on the phone with us, and especially you all for taking the time out of your day to join us for this webinar. You know, it's the buying season here in the States for education, and we've seen a lot of orders come in, especially last month. And so we're excited to talk to you about quite a few things in our portfolio today that really rounds out what you can do in education. We've got Cobb with us as well. He's going to talk about how he talks to partners, trains people, asks questions and things. So we're really excited about the opportunity to chat with you all today. Summer, you want to do the introductions? You want me to do?
It's completely up to you. You could go ahead or I can start.
Oh, I don't mind. All right, I'll take it over. So we've got Taylor from PaperCut. He's going to be joining us, taking us through Hive and some other things that are going on in the Google landscape with PaperCut today. We've got Johann from Scanshare, who's going to be talking about capture for us. Today is our formal launch of Scanshare for the U.S. market. We've had it in other markets for the last couple of years, but we're bringing it to the United States. Super happy about that. Jill from Elatec is also on with us, talking about all the things happening with their technology, card readers, authenticated users. Really excited about that. Mentioned Cobb, one of our regional account managers here at ACDI, supporting the South Central LA, Compton. Is that?
There you go.
Yeah, okay. Last but not least, the man in the middle here, Josh Lane, President, CEO of ACDI, #2 employee here at the company. He's here to take us through a few things. So with that, Summer, who's up first?
All right, so first up, we have none other than Cobb. So Casey, you want to take it away?
I do, and thank you so much for the invite, guys. I was telling Summer, it's been a while since I've been able to be a part of the panel of one of our webinars, so I'm very excited about this. And you know, I wanted to step in and just talk about a couple of successes, a few successes that we have in education. As most of you probably know, PaperCut started in the education market. You know, for years, you know, we were known as the education product. As you know, we're in many different verticals, but education is still a very important vertical for PaperCut and for ACDI. And I think it's safe to say that our company has a lot of experience in this area. You know, I wanted to just, in my short time that I have with you today, we want to just equip you with some tools in both K-12 and higher education. Believe it or not, they can be a little bit different. As you see, we've laid out some bullet points here for you, and I'm not going to read all of them to you, but one of the things that always stands out to me is security. I always talk about when I'm training a dealer or a partner that, you know, when we think of security, we think of healthcare a lot of times. And I tell you, security in education is extremely important, and protecting confidential documents. We've got so many stories that we can back that up with of partners that have won school districts just based on security alone and making sure that jobs are not just printed and sitting on a copy machine for anyone and everyone to go through. But think about mobility. Think about some of the bullet points you see here in K-12. Let's talk about that first. You know, a lot of times what they're looking for is a staff and faculty tracking. They need to save money, cost savings, color restrictions, things along those lines. Those are some of the common things that we hear. You know, another thing that we hear is, I'm not going to call it department tracking, more maybe of a location. We want to track and monitor based on, you know, each school and how many locations. So we don't really see students mixed in very much on K-12. You know, we always ask that question, do you want to track and monitor any of the students? Do they need to print from their Chromebooks or their MacBooks? We typically don't hear that. But as we bleed into higher education, it's a very important question to ask because, again, there's going to be similarities. But one of the main questions is, do you plan on tracking and or charging students for their copy and print activity? Quite frankly, most of the time it's yes. Well, then the next question is, how are we going to do that? So we can equip your customers with many different options from that perspective. One thing to mention is our hardware that we design and manufacture here. We have pay stations that are you know, easily used amongst campuses, and also in the higher education. Think about the library. Think about visitors off campus coming to visit the school and they need to utilize the facilities. So then we get into a BYOD environment as well. So those are a lot of the things that we see in both K-12 and higher education. But again, I keep getting back to security, and we've got so many good stories we can tell about that, but that tends to be what we hear as well. At the end of the day, they want to save money, right? So that's kind of one of the more common themes is that cost savings also. Summary, you go ahead to the next slide.
Of course.
We do have case studies and use cases. These are important. A lot of our customers, they want to see our success in the education arena. So if you need any references, case studies, we've got those. As you can see, we've got some popular ones here. For those of us here in Arkansas, as you can see, our beloved Razorbacks are a part of those case studies that we have. So Mark doesn't agree. He needs the Kentucky Wildcats on there, but they're just not there for this presentation. So, but yes, we also have a resource hub as well that you have access to. But yes, we do have references for you guys. Go ahead, Summer.
Awesome. And Casey, oh, sorry to pause, but we did just have a question come in. We have someone asking about, kind of going back to this last slide, about specific questions that you should be asking when selling into the education space. So do you kind of want to talk on that a little bit?
I do, yes. So one of the questions is security. Are you securely releasing your documents? Guys, as we move further outside of COVID, I know that you're able to go on site now. I would encourage you to make observations as you're walking by copy machines. See if there's paper sitting on there. See if they have recycle bins and trash cans sitting next to those machines. Ask them if you can put your hands in those recycle bins and grab a big stack of paper and take it with you and see how they react. They're probably going to say no, because there's probably documents in there that you don't need to see. So security is big. Also, like I said, student charging at higher education is important, and just tracking in general. That's typically what we're going to see. And of course, mobility. We can't forget about mobility printing.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey.
And last, for my part, relief funding. Summer's actually going to put a link in the chat that's going to offer you more details for the COVID relief fund. So don't let your customers tell you that they don't have it in the budget right now. Trust me, the money is there for them to spend. So take a look at what she attaches, and just do not hesitate to let your ACDI representative know if you have any questions, and we can definitely have a conversation with your potential customers.
Speaking of the relief funding, we were talking with an insider resource here recently, and they shared with us that of the $153 billion that was set aside for the COVID relief funding in education, only 19% of that has been claimed today. So there's still lots of money that's out there. We do have some marketing slicks, if you will, brochures that talk about how to apply for that funding with PaperCut. So if you're not doing that, if you're not introducing that to your schools, please do. We think it's an easy way for you to go in and show them how to utilize the products that are going to be on this webinar that we're talking to you about today. Go out and get that government funding, get that money for your schools, for your local districts that are there. The government set it aside, and we want to make sure that everybody takes advantage of that.
Yeah, and Isaac, I did just see your message. Let me try a different one as well. And if that one doesn't work, we will be sending the PDF in an email as well. And once, I think that second link that I sent should be working, but that program website on there is the link that Mark was talking about specific instructions to get that funding. All right, and we are moving on to Tyler. So Tyler's going to talk a little bit about PaperCut and selling PaperCut specific in the education space. So Tyler, you want to go ahead and jump in?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that intro. I am a systems architect here at PaperCut, so I'm usually involved in kind of the pre-sales cycle. But wanted to kind of talk to you guys about what we're seeing as sort of trends, some really strong suits that have come in light of the sort of reorganization after the pandemic has sort of started to subside in areas now that places are getting back in office, that sort of thing. One key takeaway that we found with ourselves during COVID and now slightly after it is that we have had a lot of growth in Google, with remote software being really vital to everybody's business as usual now. Google was positioned in a unique spot to really accelerate there. So they have gained they've over doubled their Google Workspace for Education users. They are expanding their classroom program really rapidly. Chromebook has increased by an order of magnitude as well, as we see more and more schools scrambling to kind of equip their students with the necessary hardware to continue to learn, regardless of if they're in person or remote. You see a lot of Google Meet activity as well. So it's there to just kind of assure us that, even though we're getting back in office a little bit, hybrid work is still really important. Go ahead and go next slide. So Google has been a really vital component to a lot of schools. I was reading somewhere that they have somewhere to the tune of like 60% of the hardware market share for students in classrooms. And the rest are, your Apple and Windows devices. So we've really prioritized how well we've worked with Google. Well enough, in fact, that Google is actually one of our customers. So they find that PaperCut works well with Google enough to adopt it on their own. So in this process, we found our mobility print solution is a really vital option to get printing just working on Chromebooks, because it's kind of a steep learning curve for a lot of administrators, and they're really grateful to hear that there's just a piece of software to install to get this stuff working right out of the gates. We can sync and authenticate with Google, so we can use workflows that students are familiar with. And of course, we have our scan actions that can work directly with Google Drive and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a shoe-in into how it fits with the user experiences that all of these students and teachers are already used to. Go ahead and go next.
And Tyler,
Yeah.
The mobility print is actually a standalone application now as well, right?
Yeah.
Specifically was added because of the Google Cloud GCP going away and wanting to be able to implement that, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So Google Cloud Print used to be kind of the standard of deploying printers to your Chrome devices, but since Google has deprecated that, we really wanted to make it as accessible to start on your PaperCut journey as possible, right? So Mobility Print is a completely free product. You can install it on any computer, basically, and it can get you started on the process of just thinking about your printing, just being a little bit more conscious about that side of things. And the goal here is to kind of lead into the next question, the logical follow-up, which would be, well, how can I see what they're printing now that everybody is capable of doing it? So with that in mind, it's been kind of a rough one for printing outside of Chrome, right? We've got this print nightmare vulnerability and subsequent mitigation that took a ton of wind out of a ton of people's sails in terms of printing. It has made it enormously more difficult for a lot of folks. But we found ourselves a really strong opportunity here as Print Deploy and Mobility Print can kind of come together to address this for organizations big and small. Whether this is just your small little charter school or a complete district-wide printing change, it's found a home in a lot of different customer environments, to the extent that 2/3 of our Print Deploy customers are in education. We've seen that grow by 50% in the last year, and so it's a really strongly positioned product for kind of printing as it stands right now. And that expands beyond just your run-of-the-mill Google, Apple, Windows. We also support Chrome, but we try and treat, not Chrome, Linux. So we really try and treat all operating systems on kind of an even ground to make sure that this problem is solved for as many people as possible. So,
And
next.
Tyler, you mentioned just a second ago about remote working, right, and hybrid working, and we're really seeing that, driver deployment play a huge part there.
Yeah.
People printing from home with VPNs, without VPNs. Where do I go when I come back into the office? Devices have moved around. How do I find the right driver? So it's been a huge problem solver for a lot of our dealers and customers for that.
Yeah. And as more and more organizations in education shift to one-to-one, where every student has a computer, we are finding ourselves able to answer a lot of the questions that come up. Organizations will naturally kind of want to figure out printing because it's just a question that'll come up. You don't realize the underlying desire to print with students and staff until they can't do it. And they go, what exactly is the plan here? And they go, ooh, question, what is the plan here? And we have answers for that, right? So whether people are working remotely where we can, enable them to print without a VPN or something like that, or if they're just looking to facilitate printing as people trickle back into the office, we have easy ways for that as well. So it's kind of a rapid overview of our positioning in education, but that's all to say that our print enablement solutions have been a really welcome kind of gateway to onboarding customers into print management.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to explain one whole product in 5 minutes or less and give a brief overview when there's so much information that you do want to share that's so incredibly valuable. So thank you, and I appreciate that. So now we're going to hear from our very own Josh Lane. He's going to talk a little bit about Storyboard. So let me go ahead and get that pulled up as well.
All right. Thanks, Summer. And while you're doing that, let me just go ahead and say to Casey and to Tyler, Casey provided the social proofing of PaperCut, and then Tyler just backed that up with Google, who interacts in all areas and all aspects of universities, schools, and K through 12. So that was phenomenal. Appreciate you sharing that information. But now let's jump into Storyboard. And you guys may have heard that before from ACDI and maybe not. But if it's new to you, let me tell you that it's a business intelligence platform that we've designed specifically for PaperCut, specifically for eventually Terra, KPAX, and other models. But it's a tool that ties in. So if you're at a school, you've got thousands of users, you've got thousands of staff or faculty, you've got different campuses. So you've got a lot of moving pieces. And it's one where it gives you the ability to put it all into one elegant dashboard. And you guys see it on the screen here. For PaperCut, Storyboard for PaperCut, we break it down by kind of an executive summary. You have devices, users, and then environmental impact, which is fairly big right now. And if you look at all the market conditions, you know why. In regards to devices, if you wanted to, it's dynamic. So anywhere you see a master, or if you want to do it based on a timestamp, you have the ability to drill down and click. And so if you clicked, for instance, on a device, Summer, it would change the whole dashboard. And so for administrators, it gives them a quick understanding of what's going on in their environment, in each department, and allows them to make decisions based off that data. So we've had a really good time building this out. We say something here quite a bit, that you can only manage what you measure. And, we truly believe that. We've added Storyboard into our CRM tool, our accounting package, our ticket system, and all types of things to break down our business to allow us to make better decisions. But you see it on the screen. I think it's very attractive. It fits perfectly in school systems. And really and truthfully, what you need to remember about this slide in education is that it fits everywhere PaperCut is. And it's easy to install. And we have over 12,000 licenses, active licenses right now, that you can go and upgrade with Storyboard. And it's a subscription license. And what that means is that it's, the responsibility is on us to make sure that it's valuable for your client. And lastly, just know that Storyboard, it's an on-road to a deeper discussion or deeper conversation with your client, your school systems, that could lead to more customization and going deeper into their business.
And Josh, there was a question coming in about the reports. So yeah, PaperCut does have a lot of built-in reports that, this data exists in a couple of different places within those 80 plus reports. But what we've been able to do is put it into that centralized dashboard. And we're also looking at it and doing some analytics and estimates, if you will, based on what's happening real time with the data. So you don't have to go and look at 4 different reports to get what you're looking for. It's all here in centralized panels. And with the filters on the left-hand side, you can really filter in and zero in on a specific time frame or even, specific user group, whatever you need.
Yeah, it's 80 reports combined into one dashboard at a glance. I mean, it's that easy and it's that customizable. You can actually, there's a third filter we didn't talk about. You can drill down and add more charts to it.
Yeah, and so a question
Awesome.
came in, and would a dealer have access to a client storyboard? Yes, it's a cloud-based solution that you would be able to have your own user rights as well. If your customer wants to give you that user rights, by all means, then you could click in and you could use that for your QBRs to help you with data with regards to the customer's environment. You would have access to everything.
Awesome. Great question as well, Kevin. Thank you. All righty, awesome. So Johann is going to be talking to us about Scanshare. So it is our brand new capture software. We actually just had our launch today, so we're really excited about it, and everyone here at headquarters is excited as well. So Johann, do you want to go ahead and step on in?
Yeah, thank you, Summer. Well, at Scanshare, I'm involved in the digitization of paper workflows. The current COVID-19 crisis makes the theme workflow management even more topical, because experts think that digital education will have a lasting effect on our way of work, even after the pandemic, which means that the educational institutions increasingly have to ensure that the scan data is mobile, available for all their target groups, and that it's processed and shared in a responsible and well-conserved way. I would like to go to the next slide, Summer, for mobility. At the same time, I see some trends. The importance of mobility with the education sector is increasingly rapidly. With mobility, you strive to make data and information available from anywhere, at any time, and through any device. Especially for teachers, students, and support personnel, it is essential that they can continue their works outside of school walls, wherever they are. Next to that, I see the information which was previously stored. One slide back, please, still with the mobility, that the previously stored in databases or the cloud, and it was only accessible from school. It is now also available remotely. Although educational institutions have reopened, the prediction is that digital teaching will continue after the pandemic. Schools in the secondary education and higher education in particular will continue to share information and documents remotely with their target groups. Schools should therefore adapt their digital workflow to this. Furthermore, it appears that many teachers and lecturers struggle with the question of how they can offer documents mobile, such as teacher materials on an adequate and efficient way. The result is that the content is often shared in an old-fashioned analog way. That is no longer fits in the current spirit of time. By means of a predefined process, such as a digital workflow, it is possible to scan paper documents and then make them available for the end user, the students. We go to the next, compatibility. Secondly, I notice an increase of target applications and databases within educational institutions. We see that schools work with different students registration systems. School A, for example, works with System 1 and is linked to Dropbox for their storage, while School B turns to have System 2 and store data in OneDrive. But also within the educational institution, various configurations are conceivable. Within school, data is often stored in different places. That is not just available with every application. An underlying system that organizes everything centrally solves this problem. It is no longer matters which package you run and to which database or cloud service you are linked, you focus the workflow on education and let it switch between database and target application by itself. Think of it like a power strip. You need it because applications have a variety of connectors and connection options. Within education, student registration systems are commonly used platforms and require a power strip. We will go for the verification, which is my third trend.
Johann, real quick on that one, you mentioned agnostic too, right? And that's been one of the things that has been a major selling point for PaperCut over the years is the ability to work on any system, any operating system, any OEM device. And, that's one of the reasons why we chose to work with Scanshare, because they are platform agnostic, not only on the OEM side. You can capture on standalone scanners, you can capture images from cell phones, you can capture from the MFPs, you can utilize PaperCut as the front end and start your scanning applications from there, right? If you want a universal approach and then scanning it into the actual workflow. So that program, platform agnostic, continues with the theory that we've had with PaperCut all along as well. And that's going to play a big part moving forward for all universities.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So for the verification, Summer, it is the third trend. Verification is increasingly used by the schools to verify scanned documents such as tests and quotations. In the verification process of a school, often multiple verifiers review a scanned document which is uploaded and approved by an employee. To promote productivity, it is desirable that the verification process is also part of one of the same workflow. The big advantage is that you reduce the size of paper stack within the organization enormously. But there's also the security benefits. We also heard it before. Just like with digital ID, the authenticity of a process is guaranteed. You can provide each employee with a username and a password, which are linked to a profile. Using various authorizations, you verify the identity of the user and secure the process. Moreover, you can set up such a system in a way that it is completely GDPR compliant.
Yeah, and if we kind of link everything together, right, it can be a badge authentication into PaperCut that has single sign-on into Scanshare to complete all of these workflows. So, right, if we tie all the products together, it makes this workflow very, very simple. And one of the things that I love the most about this interface here that Johann didn't elaborate on we didn't give him a chance to get into, it's a drag and drop workflow that you're going to be able to use. And schools, we know there's so many different, I love that analogy, the power strip, right? There's so many different types of systems on a campus or in a school environment that they're going to need. Somebody's got OneDrive, somebody's got Dropbox, another 3 groups have Google Drive, whatever that may be. You have that capability from within the software to create all of those scan actions right from this drag and drop interface, which is absolutely outstanding. And it makes it super easy for educators, for IT professionals, and or for you as dealers from a professional services standpoint to be able to build these workflows or rely on the ACDI professional services team. We'll be glad to build them.
Exactly. Let the workflow work for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Johann. And if you guys that are on the call, if you're seeing this and you're like, man, I'm really interested in that and want to learn more, I will put our sales coverage map link in the chat as well. So you can either reach out to your ACDI rep if you know who that is, and if not, feel free to click on that link and you can find it directly. And if you are someone that is outside of the US and Canada or LATAM or anything like that, you can shoot me or Mark a message and we can put you in contact with your sales rep as well.
If you don't know your ACDI rep, I suggest you send a private message to Josh Lane right now. Just let it know. He'll be glad to look it up for you and help you figure that out.
All righty, perfect. So now we have Jill from Elatec joining us, and she is going to be talking about Elatec and all of our amazing card readers that we have with them. So Jill, you want to go ahead and take over?
Yes, are you all excited to talk about hardware?
Absolutely.
Yay! So as Summer mentioned, thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Jill Gillespie. I'm the Western Regional Manager for Elatec RFID Systems. If you haven't heard of us before, obviously we are a worldwide manufacturer of RFID modules and devices. So there's some things about us that I recognize from this conversation. We're really agnostic. So we're flexible. We have 60 plus transponder technologies. So we support ISO 14443, MyFair, HID Prox, Cassie, Rusco, and Dalla, all these different ones. We also have low frequency, high frequency, and BLE technology that we can read. And our readers mostly close proximity, so high frequency, NFC, low frequency, and BLE. So we have certifications for FCC, IC, ACA, and many more. We also have a free SDK kit that's downloadable online. It allows the flexibility to change your firmware with just a few clicks. We also have the ability to remotely configure our readers in the field. So how cool is that? We have a few partnerships in the mobile application space, and I'll discuss that in the next few minutes. So as mobile technology becomes a bigger part of our everyday lives, we see a transition from hard credentials or RFID cards to more mobile smartphone solutions and mobile credentials. We have a growing dependency on technology, whether we like it or not. So statistics are actually reporting that 89% of our teenagers have their own smartphones. So that actually blows my mind. So how do we support the next generation of users with mobile solutions? So Apple brought VAS, or value-added services, to the market to allow users to scan their gym memberships using their phones, to provide their loyalty cards at the grocery store, to access EV charging solutions, or to grab a bike from your local bike share. So Google has released similar services with their Smart Tap on a more open source platform that's available on Android devices. So at Elatec, we have several options to support the customers in this market. We have an app available that you can download on both Android and iOS, and it showcases the functionality of a mobile pass. So once you download this to your device, it creates a unique user ID that's based on an algorithm and your IMEI number from your phone. So then this mobile pass can be used to read with an RFID device from Elatec. In addition, if you're interested to deploy and manage your own fast passes, we are launching the PDC, or a Pass Deployment Center, and this supports our end customers in this process. So please keep in mind when we're talking about VAS passes that they're for approved use cases only, and they're not synonymous with Apple Pay or GPay.
Yeah, and we're really excited about this, Jill. You know, we first got to see this product back in October when we were over in Elatec, Germany, and you guys were launching this. It's going to bring a new opportunity to the channel to be able to do managed credentials. There's some companies out there today that do that, other third-party companies, but now to have it built in directly with the Elatec technology is outstanding. We've already created some fun things with it internally at ACDI with our Terra. So that's just in my my Apple Wallet that I'm able to share. You can use it for guest access points. You can use it for concerts. There's a lot of different things that you can use the PDC for. One of the things that, you know, it's not ready to go right away, but you will be able to integrate directly into PaperCut. So you can tie this into all of your users that are in PaperCut today. And when you link it together, the PDC will pull in the users. It'll send them a credential login to where they can add that to their mobile phone and automatically have that managed ID. And so that really ties PaperCut into the overall technology and using a digital credential. And with a single sign-on, you now can use your mobile phone through Elatec, badge into the device, get into PaperCut, do what you need to do, have single sign-on into Scanshare, start your workflows all with a complete digital environment. And we absolutely love it.
Yep. And that's several layers of the platform and getting into security standards and things like that that we don't have time for, but let me know if you need more information. So As I mentioned previously, we have several partnerships in this mobile credential space. All of these are proof of concepts or in development. Most of the applications are using NFC or near field communication, but some go with BLE technology. So they both have their strengths and negatives to them. So when you read an NFC pass, you are simply just passing on that data stored in the payload. And each one of these companies may have a proprietary credential that adds extra security or features for each of these mobile users. So like you mentioned, these applications can be used in building access, PC login, parking, ticketing, vending, time and attendance, EV charging, and full campus solutions. So next slide. So things have changed quite a bit since I went to school. Every aspect of a student's activities and needs are now available in one ecosystem that is accessible via their smartphone. Whether they want access to their dorm room, to grab a bite to eat, to log into their library computer and print a document, to getting access to a basketball game on campus. Every functionality that is can be imagined is at the palm of their hand. So we have come a long way from the days when I was in school and I ran up my parents' AOL bill with dial-up and used to surf the web on Gopher. So that might be aging me, but kids these days, they don't know how lucky they are. So in closing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And when Jill and I were just talking a little bit about the webinar and she showed me this graphic, I was like, man, I feel like I haven't been out of school that long, but you just don't realize how much you use it and how much you need it everywhere on campus. So it really is amazing just everywhere they can integrate.
Exactly.
Summer, you don't get to talk about that. You graduated last August. So it's been, 40 years since Josh graduated. So you're making him feel bad right now.
20 plus for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jill. Is there anything else you want to add before we go on to Josh again?
Nope.
Nope, all good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jill. And I've also attached some links in the chat. So if you do want more information on anything, feel free to click those and go to our website and get some more information. So now we are going to be talking about our Terra Energy services. So this is our electric vehicle charging stations. And unfortunately, you do have to hear Josh talk again, so I'm so sorry about that, everyone. But he is going to be talking about Terra, like I said. So Josh, you want to go ahead and get started?
I do, and you kind of stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to start off with more of a a philosophical approach. And you see the icons on your screen, and you're looking at COVID and Zoom calls and consolidation, print reduction, and then it kind of led to diversification. And for the last 2 years, 3 years, it's COVID, it's the calls, it's things that we've been listening to, it's the news. It's where's print going to go, and a lot of companies and a lot of dealers that I've spoken to and listened to have tried to make a pivot or transition. And some of them for the good, some of them for the bad, and some of them kind of still up in the air what's going to happen. But what we noticed is that at some of the companies, and even we had a tendency to look at diversifying at from a negative light, like we have to do it, and we realized that's probably not healthy, and it could put our company in a precarious position. So what we wanted to do, based on the idea of bringing new products into the market, we wanted to come from an optimistic mindset, a passionate mindset, some way that we're excited to start with. And it didn't take us very long. And as you see it on the screen, it didn't take us very long at all to say that EV charging stations was perfect for us. I mean, and as I say that, if it's perfect for you, then that's you're the person that we want to work with. We know how long EVs have been kind of lying on the sidelines, waiting to jump into the market, and now they're here. Now what are we going to do about it? How are we going to build infrastructure? And for years, Mark will attest to this. Everyone from the ACDI team will attest to this. No pun intended. Our charge is to bring value to the channel through our partners. And that's the goal, is we want to figure out what adjacencies are out there that we can roll up. specifically here for education. We can roll up and equip you to be successful in the marketplace. And for us, it's right here in front of you, EV charging stations. It's the hardware, it's the software. And, you know, the question that many, many people ask is, you know, why charging stations? And I think, you know, Summer, if you'll look at the stat on the next slide, you'll see that there's plenty of statistics and data to support the direction of this industry. You know, Mark will attest to this, that, you know, every time we wake up, there's a news article or another article about the growth and acceleration of EVs, and will there be infrastructure to support it? They say that the demand, I guess, 40% of the new vehicles by 2030 are going to be EVs. Majority of the OEMs have already said, hey, our fleets by, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, majority of them will be electric. So we've got to figure out, you know, where are all these cars going to be charged, and is there a channel that can do it? You know, we think it's our channel. You know, other things to consider, you know, in regards to the acceleration of the market. You know, I mentioned earlier the geopolitical tension, the gas prices, you know, all of these environmental protection acts, you know, sustainability's, you know, on everybody's, the forefront of everybody's mind. So we want to play in that. We want to impact and have a, you know, kind of contribute to the sustainability of the environment on behalf of 8 billion people. Why not? We can do it.
Yeah. And Josh, as Josh mentioned, you know, the cars are increasing every day, and the numbers continue to go up. You know, that stat of 30% by 2030 or 40%, you know, now some people are saying 50, 55%, right? Hyundai, Korean manufacturer, they've already said they're going to end their future designs of combustible engines. You know, we know that's not going to be the case for everyone, but the market is changing and going that way. But what's not keeping up right now is the infrastructure of the EV chargers. So currently, based on the cars on the road, there's 95 EVs per single charger. The government studies say that their estimates is they want it 5 or less. So as these cars continue to grow, we have an opportunity to place these level 2, level 3 chargers out in your commercial locations. You know, one stat we got from the state of Colorado is they expect over 1 million EVs to be on the road by 2030. And they Rivian just invested in 2 chargers per state park. So they're looking at many locations to add these EVs. And we're excited about the opportunity. As Josh mentioned, it's hardware, it's software. It's a new product for technicians to be able to go out and service. It's a new network product for all of you network engineers to be able to train on that cloud-based dashboard and help with that work-based software. So there's so much to it that really just fits in and snaps into our channel.
So Mark, can we do it through the channel?
Absolutely. The channel is, you know, the thing that's lacking right now with the current providers of EV is a service model. If you look at some of the national providers, it's 2 to 3 weeks out to service a product. And as these become more dependent, or customers become more dependent on them every day, you can't wait 3 weeks. So who has the best service plan and the best service model in our environment? It's the dealers, hands down. They can be there every day to take care of these and make sure they're up and running.
Yeah, you know, and I look at that stat about 40%, you know, by 2030. You know, if you think that way, then maybe 40% of the parking lots and the parking garages and even the homes will need to be charged. And so it's at the very beginning of an industry that's going to shoot straight up. I mean, there's tons of growth opportunity, especially here in education. And you said it, Mark, you kind of stole the thunder in regards to selling service contracts. There's nobody better. To top it off, though, for the channel, that this is kind of the gold standard, the recurring revenue package. So there's that built in this model, as well as the refresh that you guys are accustomed to. So we were glad to see that when we were looking at this and investigating whether or not to bring it on. So we've built up the demand, and the question came is, how are you going to, or how are we going to supply it? Well, we're going to supply it through the devices, through the OEMs that we've partnered with. And as you see on the screen, you had a kind of our level 2 portfolio of products. And it goes up to an 80 series. We installed an 80 series here in the office, and it's phenomenal. It looks great. We have more work to do around the for signage and for the parking space itself, but just people that drive by, they look, they want to know what we're doing, they actually want to use it. And so it's a good way for us to partner with the community until we outfit the community with additional EV charging stations, which is the plan. But Terra Energy Services is your supply chain. You know, we will provide an optional turnkey solution. So we can sell it, we can work with the installers to install it, and we can make sure that the software is configured and you guys can monitor and service it ongoing. We can also, you know, take this line and kind of morph into the DC fast chargers. And that's where all the conversations are going. We implement these in the communities, but then people are going to ask for more. And you're going to be seen, and we're going to be seen as the authority. And the more and more we get this out there with you guys, the more opportunities we're going to have to expand. So, you know, the next thing is how does it relate to, you know, this webinar that we're on right now with education and the solution stack that we've built together. Look at some of these, you know, stats on the screen, and I hate to admit it, but I didn't know, I'd never heard of Generation Z till we started doing some research on this topic. And you know, I'm not surprised that, you know, you'll see that I think 1 in 8 of the Gen Zs, or the Zoomers, as Tyler informed us they're called, you know, they're interested in the next year of converting over to an EV. So they're going to have chargers to charge. You know, colleges and universities, their innovations for, you know, are their hubs for innovation, and they want to be in the forefront and lead some of these charges. And, you know, charging stations are a way to do that. The environmental impact and the issues that are there. Campuses stand for that, and this is a way that you can get in with one and maybe expand it into 10, 20, 30 as the need goes up. And I would say, you know, I know how I was in college, and I don't know about you guys, but if I had a less expensive option to drive or to own an EV, I would have. I don't know a lot of college kids with money, so this is a way for them to save money. Further, I guess the slide that's on the screen, further forwarding the move for EV is the amount of funding available, specifically into education, but all the way from the federal level to the local level through your utilities company. There are tons of incentives. Our team is basically, we're researching those every day, and so we can help consult and provide information on what's available and how you can apply. I think we've already been granted, you know, an incentive from our state, and so it pretty much paid for the price of the EV charging station. So that was fun, and we're glad we could do that. But the financial considerations, you have to take those. You see those in place. There are websites that can help. Our team can help. Look at us and ask us questions, and we can help drive the business in your area, in your state. Now, I mentioned earlier that EVs have kind of lied. They've been on the sidelines, and now they're jumping in the marketplace. And I remember reading a book, I don't know, probably 5 years ago, where the technology was there, but nobody really knew how to get it to the masses. And now it seems like it's all coming together. So with that, you know, we came across this quote. I think it's exactly where we are today with the EV charging stations. And I'm going to read it to you, even though you probably already read it. It says, in economics, things take longer to happen than you think they will. And then they happen faster than you thought they could. We're at that stage right now. You know, the demand for EV charging stations is off the charts, and we want to be able to supply it to you and get it out to the end customers as soon as possible. And if this sounds good to you and feasible, by all means, contact any of your RSMs. Contact me. Contact Francesco Havas here at ACDI. Mark. We want to help. We want to assist, but we want to tie all of these solutions in and give you the opportunity to constantly go back into your education environments and provide value. That's the ultimate goal, and as I said before, that's our charge, is to continue to add value to your businesses. Mark,
awesome. Thank you, Josh. Mark, do you want to add anything to that? I know I was just about to say, Josh, he's awfully quiet.
Oh, no, I was chiming in. I was just going to let Josh know that 3 of his 4 sons are Gen Z. That way he knows, you know, what the age groups are for the future.
Yeah. And they have V8s.
Yeah, yes, that's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I know it's been a long webinar, and I do appreciate all of you, staying on and hearing everything that we've had to say so far. There was a bunch of good information, and thank you to all of our amazing panelists that we had on here for joining and just helping us in general. We would not be able to do what we do without you guys. So a huge thank you and round of applause to you guys. We appreciate it. And here are all of our ACDI social medias. I will be sending out links to everyone that was on the webinar, Tyler, Jill, everyone. That way, if you guys want to reach out to them directly, you can do that as well. And like I said, on the screen, we have all of our ACDI links. And then if you want to scan that app, we actually have a new ACDI app. So it's on the Google Play Store as well as the Apple Store. So no matter if you have an iPhone, Android, you can download it. So just scan that QR code with your phone, and then it should take you to a page to download it. And if you have any questions about the app or anything on this webinar, like I said, just feel free to reach out to any of us and we will be happy to help. But some of the panelists, we can kind of stay around for a bit. If there's any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and then we can get them answered.
There was a question that came up earlier regarding the scalability of print deploy for 100+ zones that came in, and Tyler responded to that. You guys didn't see that. Scalability and ease of use are a high priority right now for the print deployment team. That's something that they are currently working on, and it's up top of mind to figure out the bulk management and administration of that. But keep those ideas coming. If you have any thoughts and suggestions for any of the products on here today, get those back over to us. That's one of the things that we love to say. These products are living products. We're always trying to make them better. And we, all the development teams, all the partners on this call welcome that feedback. So share that with us. Let us know thoughts, suggestions, ideas. If they're really good, I'll take all credit for them, but then I'll let you know what the fixes are in the long run.
Awesome, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining today. And if you have any questions, like I said, just reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. But guys, thank you so much. Panelists, you guys did amazing. And we will be sending this recording out as well for anyone that missed it. So there'll be an email notification, and then it will also be posted on our YouTube. We post all of our webinar recordings on there. So feel free, if you missed one, you can go back and watch it. But thank you guys so much and have a great rest of your week.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.